Hello everyone, Marla here with another Not Too Shabby Shop Design Team project. Today I'm featuring the Sunshine Friends stamp, which is part of the recent release available in the Not Too Shabby Shop from My Favorite Things. This stamp set is illustrated by the fabulous Stacy Yakula and is a scene building stamp set with several wonderful sentiments. The sentiments read, "Hi friends," or "If friends were flowers, I'd pick you. Big birthday wishes from all of us. I love hanging out with you. I'm glad we're friends. You make me smile. And hey, honey." That honey theme really stuck with me, so I have a piece of accent opaque cardstock that I've cut using my Hero Arts Infinity dies. In fact, I did use those Infinity dies on all the layers for my card. This stencil is called Honeycomb Drips. It is a fabulous stencil from Whimsy Stamps. I've treated the back with some pixie spray, and we are going to start with some Distress Oxide inks in Fossilized Amber, Wild Honey, and Rusty Hinge. I'm going to add the Fossilized Amber over the top of the honeycomb portion of this stencil, add a little bit of the Rusty Hinge, and then I'll finish off with some of the Wild Honey. When I add the Wild Honey, I felt like I lost some of the depth from the Fossilized Amber, so I'll add a little bit more of that Fossilized Amber, and then we'll move on to the beautiful drips, which is what makes this stencil so incredibly special. I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to align it at the bottom of my card once I clean up my surface, and we are going to go back over it using the Fossilized Amber, and then I'm going to add a little bit of the Wild Honey, and that is going to be the start of those ooey gooey drips. I think it adds so much to this card, and I really love the depth and dimension that I get from the drips. Of course, I don't want that stark background to those drips, so I'll go over it with the Fossilized Amber. I'll realign my stencil, add some more of the Wild Honey, and then a touch of the Rusty Hinge, and you are going to see just how amazing these honey drips look. Almost good enough to eat. You let me know in the description box or in the comment section below. We're going to do a little bit of no line coloring with Gina K Designs Barely There ink. I am going to stamp my images 3 times onto Copic Express It paper, which is my favorite paper for Copic coloring. Once I finish stamping this 3 times, I am only going to share the coloring of my bear holding the flower. I do need to add the detail back into my images. If I Copic colored over the face, those lines would fade and I would not be able to see where the eyes and the nose were. I would mention that I am going to start looking for a brown marker. This is a micron pen, and I want to find a brown one that's Copic friendly. Maybe Copic does have one of their own, because I think that softer brown would have been a little bit better for the eyes of my animals. I am going to start, as I mentioned, coloring the flower. I started with my darkest color to add the shadowing into the leaf, and that was a YG25. I blended it out with a YG23. I go over my images twice. It's my preference, and so I will go back in a second time with the YG25 and then finally the 23, and we will start coloring up this flower. For the daisy, I used my brother's scan and cut on the images to die cut them. I don't have the dies, and because I used the light ink and because I used light colors on the flower, you're going to see in just a little bit that when my brother scan and cut it, I didn't catch it. It only caught that darker color, which was the C1. I'm going to blend out with the C0, and the scan and cut just didn't pick it up, and so I basically just get the flicking motion. I'm going to color the inside of my daisy with some yellow markers. I believe I have a Y15 and a Y13, so the Y15 will add the shadowing, excuse me, and then I'll blend it out with the Y13. I colored the bee bodies the same color. I used an N9 marker to color the stripes on my bees, and then I used, I think, a B00 and a B01 to color the wings for the bees. For my bear, I'm going to start with the shadows. The shadows will go on the left side very heavily because of the daisy that is overhanging. It would cast a shadow on the bear, also under the arms, in also the inside of his legs and part of the feet. Once I finish adding that E55, I'll blend it out with an E53, and then I finish with an E51. I did want to talk a moment about the box of the month. If you didn't know, the June or the May box of the month sold out in 4 hours, which is amazing. And I wanted to let you know that I have seen a peek of the June box of the month, and that one is going to sell out fast as well. If you haven't subscribed to the box of the month, you do receive a discount for being a subscriber, and you are also guaranteed a box. So if you haven't purchased a subscription to the box of the month, you don't want to miss June. And if you don't want to purchase a subscription, I would highly recommend that you are online early, because I believe that box is going to sell out really fast as well. So that's just a little heads up. There will be inspiration throughout the month using the box of the month on the Not Too Shabby Shop channel, as well as the other designers. If you haven't subscribed to some of the other designers on the Not Too Shabby Shop channel, I would highly recommend that you check out the channel, see the other designers, and that you subscribe to their channels, because they have some amazing inspiration that comes from the products that they use from the Not Too Shabby Shop. I'm going to finish up this coloring. I do color up the inside of the ears with an R20 marker, and I think that that just adds that little bit of softness to the bear. I add that R20 to the cheeks because I always like to give my little critters some cheeks. Off camera, I color the muzzle, and I just used an E50 and the E51 marker. I wanted to make sure that my sentiment was aligned straight. I used the sentiment that says, "I'm glad we're friends," and I'm going to stamp it using my VersaFine black onyx ink. I did have to turn this upside down because I wanted to make sure I aligned it, and I was using one of my triangles from the My Sweet Petunia. So you can see I've cut out all of my panels. I wanted to add that blue layer because of the blue in the wings, and I'm also using this beautiful Busy Bees pattern paper on my card, and the wings on those bees are blue as well. So I wanted to highlight that color on my card. You can see that I am using a black card base that's been cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. That's the finished card size. My layer from the Busy Bee paper is cut to 4 by 5 1/4 inches, and then later on I will add a white to the inside of my card. I'll just cut a piece of cardstock so that I can add my sentiment. Here's where I'm talking about where I had to add that daisy. I accidentally picked up that green pen instead of my yellow pen. I would have preferred the yellow, but I wasn't about to redo my card, so I just left it as it was. I'm adding dimension to both of my bees, and when I finish with that, I'm going to adhere it to my other 2 layered pieces of cardstock. I will add some foam tape to the back of all of those layers because you know I do love my dimension on my cards. And then that will pretty much finish up my card for today. So I want to thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions, please make sure to leave them in the comment box. It always helps the channel if you leave a comment and like the video. I'd love to know what you think of this adorable little stamp set. I'll be back on my channel in a couple of weeks with another inspirational video using this stamp set. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.